What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. This is episode 59,
Yes.
one shy of 60, recorded on Sunday, December 7th, which is a fairly important day in American history, if you know your American history.
Yep, sure is.
2025 to get posted to podcast services on Tuesday, December 9th. 2025 to the usual spots: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and then YouTube. If you're listening to us on an audio only version, feel free to check us out on YouTube as well. You can watch full episodes or segments, however you want to do it. It's all time coded out for your simple clicking pleasure. We try to think about some interesting stuff. Like and subscribe. Don't forget that. However you choose to enjoy our content. Thank you very, very much. I am one of your hosts, Grayson Maxwell, and joining me as he does every week is my co-host, Roger Stillion. Chris is somewhere dealing with Freddy Fazbear. We don't know where. We assume he's dead. We don't
Uh,
know. So,
allegedly attacked his water heater.
so he might be at Freddy Fazbear or he's dealing with a water heater. Listener, you can decide which is more applicable the choice, but who knows?
Yes.
But I mean, I imagine when your water heater goes, it's just always a pain in the butt. So
No, it's funny when he messages about that. Like one of my other good friends just had a similar issue happen like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, damn, that sucks, bro.
that sucks, bro. Yeah, I've never known a water heater problem to be a simple fix or cheap.
Nope.
So I imagine it's not. So
Well, I mean, let's talk about that for just a second. Have you ever had the pleasure of having to take an icy cold shower?
on purpose, no,
Yeah.
but I've had to for reasons of water heater.
Yeah. So I have an excellent cold shower story that I'll regale for real quick. So many years ago, well, not many, but I guess it's longer than I think now. So back before COVID, me and a group of my buddies, like every year for like 6 or 7 years, had gone to a large music festival in Columbus, formerly called Rock on the Range, and then transitioned to they changed it to something called Sonic Temple, made it a little bit bigger, blah 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 blah. So one year we are staying in, we have a camper that has like a small bathroom and everything, but like we didn't get a spot that was like wired for water, so like we couldn't use the shower and stuff. So like it's at the Ohio Fairgrounds, the state fairgrounds, which is a huge massive facility, and they have like multiple bathhouses, things like that, a bunch of toilets and large shower block and things like that. So one night I think it's Friday night, and we come back from this concert that we've been at all day. So we've been out baking in the sun, grime, drinking, just being at a music festival all day. And I was like, man, I've really got to take a shower. So we all decide that we're going to get our stuff when you're at the bathhouse, blah, 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 blah. Well, we get there. There's like a line, not a super long line, but we're kind of going in like rotation. Like somebody would go in and out, in and out, in and out. And by the time it was like my group and me, when it was our turn to shower, like there's no hot water, none, zero,
Oh
gone.
man.
Don't know why, whatever. But like I'm committed at this point to at least cleanse myself somewhat. So I remember I get in there, I get my stuff set up, and like you can just feel like, when you go into like a shower stall, like it's cold in there.
Yeah, of course.
Like
It sucks your soul dry. Yeah.
thing is cold. So like I turn the water on and like I'm standing there, like watching the water hit the wall beside me. You know what I mean? And like I'm standing there like hyping myself up, like, whoo, I gotta get in here. I gotta get in here. I jump into the water with my arms up, just get sprayed down as fast as I could not, and like stand there for a second, and like I start rubbing, and I get out of the water. I'm like, oh God, it's so cold, it's so cold. And I'm like, oh. Now, mind you, I can hear everybody else doing the same thing that I'm doing because like we're all like, oh my God, it's so cold. This is garbage. And so like I get my soap, like shower, get lathered up, and hit all the major parts, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go again, I jump back in and just as quickly as I can, just try to get all the soap off me and everything. And like this goes on for like 2 or 3 minutes, like in and out, in and out, in and out. And like I was so cold leaving. And mind you, this is the middle of like towards the end of May, like almost Memorial Day weekend. Wait, yeah, Memorial Day weekend. So it's like still 80 degrees outside, and like I am freezing, like shivering walking back. It was one of the weirdest, most memorable experiences of my life involving an ice cold shower. So there's that.
I had to do that in college for where I was going. They lost the dorm I was in lost its water heater for 2 days,
Oh
and
God.
so it was because I remember just having to, like, it's like one of those things you like, "Come on, when's it gonna get hot?" And then you ask someone, they're like, no, there's no hot water." You're just
Yeah,
like,
it's been down for a day. And
and
it's
then,
like,
of course,
oh
you're like, "Do I
God.
need to shower?" And like, "Yeah, I probably should. I need to shower."
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Like, if it was like normal at home, I'd be like, you know what, I'll just wait till tomorrow. But like, man, I was just there's dirt and dust
grime,
and
and of course you have
yeah,
to, and
just
I just turned the stereo because there was always a stereo in the shower, and I just turned on this, like, rock music and just hopped in there and was out 30 seconds later and was like, "You
ooh,
gotta do it, man."
like the
Yeah.
scene from Tommy Boy where he's spraying him with the water.
Maniac,
Me.
maniac. Yeah, that's a great movie, man. Another one down that we will no longer
Yeah,
have with us, but
I watch that movie a lot of times when it's on TV because it's always on TV for whatever reason.
it's very quotable, though. That's the thing. It's not only is it quotable, though, but I think it's actually one of the better well-written comedies of that time, especially when you compare it to the Netflix comedies today. That comment's gonna have a deeper meaning in this episode later, but
Okay.
yeah. So it's just one of those things that I agree with. Tommy Boy and Black Sheep are two of my go-to because I love those movies, man. I think they're brilliant on levels that movies just don't go today. I really do think that.
No, they're pretty good. I like them both.
I
Still
would
hold up.
agree. I would agree. What else is going on your way?
I mean that's really about all the major developments that the world needs to know about right now. So
Fair
it's getting
enough.
closer to Christmas. So it snowed here.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
it's
nice.
it's normal out here, but it snowed back there. I
Yeah,
heard.
it
So
did
good.
snow. Yep.
I
Yeah.
you can see that everything is askew. I'm by a different white wall. My living situation is moving, so I am just temporarily here. But that's why my posters are kind of disproportionate. But I make sure Tom Cruise is very visible for you people. I know how much you love him, like just like me.
Yeah, the mummy poster
And
looks like
Jaws,
he's trying to eat you.
good, and Jaws and Mummy. And like I don't know, I love it. And Gladiator, he is the wonderful picture where he's striding into the. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. But yeah, so I'm things are changing for me. I'm in kind of a transition period, but anyway, yes. What
Cool.
else? Oh, I watched a ton of movies this week. I revisited Saving Private Ryan. God, that movie is good. God, it's the premise a little asinine when you think about it.
Sure.
However, but it is a master class in how to make a war film.
Yeah, it's great.
There's some questionable things, like the premise is questionable, and every time I watch it, I'm like, "Why would you send your medic as one of the runners to take a machine gun nest? If the medic goes down, he cannot fix anybody." So that's always in my mind of why the fuck would you do that? But
Mm,
there's a curse word in the first 8 minutes. Okay.
it's
Anyway,
good.
yeah. So I've ton of movies. What else did I man, I rewatched. Oh, I rewatched the Hangover trilogy. I felt like that needed a
Oh, see,
rewatch.
it's man, I can't. No, I just don't watch those movies anymore. Like, I'll watch the first one maybe, but like two and three, they just don't.
I like
Yeah,
the third one. I don't like two. Two is I can't stand two. I don't. If it didn't exist, I wouldn't be sad about it. But
sure.
um, what else? I watched. I just got done watching The Patriot earlier today. With Mel. I'm doing this thing where like The Patriot's one of the movies that like when I'm working, I just turn on and face down my phone because like I know it so well that it's just I know it and it's comfortable to me and I like Mel's voice and Heath Ledger. It's one of those movies that when I actually like watch it, it's just like I'm reminded of because that used to be one of the movies that like, dude, Patriot sucks, and then now it's like actually, Patriot's not quite so
No,
bad
it's
in
not bad.
retrospect because of things today that are making it not so bad. But again, that comment may have more resonance down the line a little bit in our show.
Hmm,
But anyway, I watched a ton of stuff this week. I'll recount it later. I've posted it. I forgot to bring it home, but a ton of stuff this week. Anyway, we have a major news story to talk about in a bit, but let's start a show.
sure. Let's hit up the box
Let's start
office.
a show. Let's start episode 59. Let's talk about the box office. Very happy to say number one, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, 63 million domestic, which is great. I'm really happy
Good
to hear
number.
that
It's
number.
a good number, honestly. I'm a
109,
bit surprised, but hey, good for them.
109 worldwide. And just for comparison purposes, the first one debuted at 80 million as an opening weekend. So this one, not quite so much, but it still's got quite a following. So
Did it debut in the middle or the early December window though?
no, it was October. It was
Oh,
October.
weird, weird.
Indeed, indeed. Zootopia 2, 43 million, bringing us worldwide to 915.
Wow.
That's going to cross the Billy mark by the middle of this week, I assume.
Should be, yeah,
Yeah.
by the weekend we should be talking about billion plus.
Yep.
So
Wicked
good
for
for it.
Good, 16.8 for a 440 worldwide. So it's not
Nope.
quite going to have the legs of
Nope.
the first one, but
Really, really slowed down there.
it did. It did.
But I don't. The one thing about that, and I'm not 100% sure, so don't crucify me if I'm wrong here. It's not got the biggest world release yet, so
Oh, really? That I
yeah, it's
didn't
still
know.
trickling in. So I don't think it's got. I don't think it has like China and Japan yet. I don't think so.
Oh, well, I
But
mean, hopefully the Asian market's good for it. So
hope so.
I really do too. Jujutsu Kaisen Execution, 10.2 million for a worldwide of 40. I don't have any idea what this is.
Nope.
Chris is not here this week to talk about it. I'm
No,
sure he does know.
our anime guy is not here, so.
But I
But
mean,
it's not one I've ever heard of.
I'm sure the budget is, 5 or less, and it's already done a worldwide of 40, so I'm sure they're way in the positive. So good
Yeah,
for them.
good for them.
Now You See Me, Now You Don't, 3.5 million for a worldwide of 209. The movie's still kind of making money, so okay, good for it.
Still though, it's no one cared.
Well, obviously no one cared,
Yeah, that's the
6
thing.
through 10. Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, didn't do much. Number 7, Eternity. Number 8, Hamnet. Number 9, Durandar. And number 10, Predator Badlands is sitting at 177. Not the strongest showing for Predator
I know
Badlands.
you were excited for Hamnet. Did you get a chance to see it?
I didn't. This week I do plan on Hamnet though, for sure. But it's only sitting at a 4.1 million. But it's only been out for a week, so I feel like that's pretty good for a super niche movie like that. But it's got Spielberg's name behind
But it's
it.
got like a wide release though, so I don't know how
does.
super niche it really is.
Well,
'Cause, I mean,
I
it's
just don't
got
see the average.
3,000 plus screens.
I just don't see the average person watching Hamnet. That's just
No, I definitely. I have no desire to see Hamnet.
And something. So a lot of the theaters out here, I've noticed, a lot of them have dumped Running Man, and Nuremberg is still playing. I just
Okay.
thought that was interesting because Nuremberg was like the much smaller release, and it's actually still getting. I asked
Well,
at the AMC I went to this week for Five Nights at Freddy's. I asked how Nuremberg was doing, and the guy at the concession said, actually Nuremberg's a few dozen people a show. So
that's good.
yeah,
It's got some legs to it.
I'm glad for Russell Crowe that is the case. But there's the box office. Nothing crazy there. What are we doing next?
Cool.
All right. So in lieu of a trailer, I want to talk about a big thing that happened that went. The knowledge of it kind of got out this week. Let's talk about it for a few minutes.
Sure.
Netflix is in queue for the bidding. So far, has won the bidding war for Warner Brothers,
Yep.
and there's still a whole bunch of government things that's got to go through the FCC. We just went through this with a few years ago when who tried to purchase Activision Blizzard? Microsoft tried to purchase Activision Blizzard. Another massive number, billions, like way high billions that number that most people can't even fathom.
Yeah.
This one went for what, like 70 billion or something?
80, I believe.
$80 billion. But I don't. If you think this is a good thing, pull up a chair and find out what you don't know, because this is not a good thing. This is an awful, awful, awful thing for the movie industry. This is a terrible, terrible thing for the movie industry. And if the government's smart, they won't let it happen. It's one step closer to an absolute monopoly that you people will not like. Trust me on this. When Netflix in 10 years, if this goes through, within the next 10 years, they slowly keep acquiring the big six. And eventually they'll never have Disney, I feel like. But once they get the others that are also kind of teetering, because where we are financially in life right now is just movies aren't a priority for people anymore, is Netflix might have everything that's made, but it won't be cheap. It'll be 50, 60, 75, $100 a month
I mean,
just
it's
to
not
watch
cheap
movies.
now.
No,
It's
it's not.
$27.95 for Netflix right now, or
And
$27.99.
I mean, you're paying $27 and you're getting peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the buffet, because I mean, it's most products are just not good.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so upset, is because we had a discussion in the movie office that I'm working in, and there was not one person excited for this, except for one, but majority of the people were not excited for this. And the reason stated, and some of them came to me because I was the one that was like, what? This is horrendous. This is not a good thing. That a lot of people came to me like, dude, why are you so upset about this? I'm like, can I ask you a question? What your thoughts? And they're like, no, awful. This is terrible. I want to hear why you're upset though. And I would tell them why. And they was like, yeah, because Netflix can't make a movie to save their lives.
Well,
So
one of
this
the
is
things
terrible.
too, just to elaborate on what Warner Brothers actually entails for a lot of people, if you don't know, besides just Warner Brothers, like Warner Studios and Warner Animation, they also own DC, the comic books. Like those people, they own that. They own HBO and HBO Max. They own that.
Of course.
They own TNT and TBS. Those are all under the Warner Media. And there's a couple other like other smaller channels in that, but yeah, that's all them. Netflix now has a hold of some other sports stuff if this goes through, like basketball, hockey, those sort of things, which is stuff they didn't have before. Which I mean, I'm kind of indifferent from the sports side. It doesn't really make a bit of difference to me there, but I'm not super thrilled that
No.
Netflix is getting that, because the one thing that they are going to change a little bit will be the theatrical window for movies before they can hit a streaming service. So
Well,
14 days is generally the
what they'll
thing.
start
And
doing is saying that's exactly what they want is. And here's the thing, and like I just let me, I'm kind of glad, I'm kind of glad Chris isn't here today to like, but like this is my pinky up version of this is something that you do not want. If this goes through and however long it takes, I know it's not a quick thing.
it could
There's
be
going to be a lot of
years.
meetings and years and FCC filings and a lot of investigations and stuff like that. Is they will have control over Harry Potter, Lord of the
Yep.
Rings, The
Yep.
Matrix.
No, not Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings is Warner Brothers.
The distribution
Amazon
of, well,
Amazon
they,
doesn't have. They don't have the third age and above.
hmm,
I
okay.
at least I think I did a little bit of research. I could be wrong about that, but I think Warner Brothers still has everything that happens after a certain time frame in the
Okay.
timeline of Lord of the Rings.
I was unfamiliar with that.
Mad Max, Mortal Kombat, just to name a few. And
Bugs Bunny.
well, all these things. But I can promise you, Netflix making Harry Potter is something you do not want. I promise you that. I 100% stake my soul on that. You do not want that.
The one thing I could definitely see is them keeping some of the assets that they want and then spinning things like HBO and stuff back off to other providers. I could definitely see them doing that. Um,
Well, they'll just close Max and put everything on Netflix.
I don't think they will. I don't think that they'll be able to do that.
Maybe not
I
at
just
first, but that will happen.
no, I just
They want
don't.
to funnel everything to there because the CEO of Netflix he's been very vocal, and the other people high up on Netflix are saying that, tweeting and social media saying more people want to watch more movies at home. And yes, I understand that. I
That's
get
probably
that.
true.
And that's of course true. However, don't forget, if you've seen a movie at AMC in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you've seen the funny Nicole Kidman thing. People clap, and during a big movie they clap. They laugh at it, but everything she says is true. There is not one thing that's better in your living room except if you're judging on, well, I like my couch better. Okay, well then a movie theater can't win that
Sure,
category, and it won't
sure.
win.
Yeah, my
And
couch
I
is pretty
understand
nice.
that, and
Yeah.
the ability to pause while you go to the bathroom, you get a drink, whatever, you go out, catch Pokemon, you go on a
Mm,
jog, whatever you want to do, you can pause it. But that's it. The presentation is never going to be as good in your living room as it is in the movie theater. And the thing is, they're banking on the fact that people, and I went on kind of a deep dive on some of these movies on Netflix lately that people have been reviewing, and a lot of people like a movie that I watched and I couldn't finish. It was Kind of Pregnant, because it just it's an insult to anyone making movies. It should be an insult because that movie is just, it's not a movie. It is a
no.
They threw a $15 million budget and said, we want a product in 6 months, make it. We don't care how, just make it. And there were reviews saying, oh, we loved it, 10 out of 10. But Netflix sees those measurements and they're like, okay, we can do this, because most people don't know the difference between a good movie and a bad movie. And I contest that they don't. Hence the reason why there are so many, review channels on Netflix that do such good traffic, is because people want to know what they watch. Is it good or bad? They want to know. The nitty gritty. They want to know if they're justified in their thought process.
Well, the one thing that I will give Netflix props for the good side and the bad side of it is they they have no problem generating content. Like
Of
that
course.
for a 30-day window that they're going to put out more than 30 movies, things like that. So that's an
Well,
impressive thing.
and one
I don't
thing, go
necessarily
ahead.
mean if that helps the quality at
And one
all.
thing that I saw that do you remember Knives Out when that came out in 2019? That was a big
Sure.
deal.
Yeah, nice is good. It's a good movie.
The first one is a good movie. It was a year after the Star Wars, the second Star Wars sequel. Ryan Johnson, love it, hate it. Ryan Johnson made it, and that was his next movie. And then the
Yep.
second one came out as a Netflix exclusive, still a big deal. Dear listener, did you know that the third Knives Out movie came out and you didn't
Yeah,
even know
last
it,
week
and you
or a
didn't
week ago. Yeah, more
no
than a week ago.
fanfare? That's what you're going to get is movies come out with no fanfare. And something I've noticed and done a little deep dive on is the amount of Christmas movies on Netflix right now that are all the exact same.
Well,
There's so many of them.
but that I can't blame Netflix for that because that's been a thing for a while. Like, there have been times where you've talked about Hallmark. I know I just did fairly recently Hallmark and GAC and the amount of movies that they pump out during this time of year. They
Of
basically do
course.
in 45 days, they do 45 movies. And, I'm glad that some of those people get paid for that, but
Of
they're
course. And
usually not
that's
very good.
well that I mean, look, I don't any of the crews getting paid for it. Good for you, and I'm happy that you're getting paid for that stuff because we all
That's
need
what you should do.
paychecks.
You should get on that Hallmark tour. Just
I mean,
start
I wouldn't.
pump out 30 of those bad boys
I mean,
in the course
I
of a
know an
year.
account that just goes from Hallmark movie to Hallmark movie to
Yeah, hell
Hallmark
yeah.
movie, and look,
I
they
mean,
get
like, look,
those
that's
paychecks
steady
cash.
work right there. That's steady work.
And it's well, a lot of those aren't union though. That's the thing too. Is some of those aren't
Ah,
union, and it's kind of there's a fine line there between because if you're union, you got to stay union to get your health benefits and your hours. But
yep, yep.
also, it's some another point I wanted to make with that stuff is they also know what they're like. For instance, Roger, they don't. Netflix does not make movies for people like you, people like me, people like Chris Stuckman, any Siskel and Ebert. They just don't make movies for us anymore. They
Very
don't.
rarely.
They don't care about us because they know we don't matter anymore. They know that we scream into the void loud enough and hard enough, it doesn't matter. Ghostbusters, Frozen Empires still made a shitload of money, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't have. People
Nope.
should have been angry at that movie. People should have been upset, but they weren't, and that's a
I
problem.
was very much so.
You you take things back 20 years in 2000, things change. It's, Netflix puts out a year's worth of garbage and
Hmm.
the blowback from people is so great that they have to stop. But now they don't it doesn't matter because they know that you and I are the exception. We're no longer the educated person watching Netflix. They they don't matter. They get drowned out by everyone else who doesn't know the difference between good and bad. And like I guess this affects me so much because like I still like to think I have movie integrity. I still like to think that I care about movies that matter. And I was just watching The Green Mile this week and you put there's a sequence in Green Mile. Roger, I know you've seen Green Mile a number of
Sure,
times.
of course.
When they take John Coffey out of the prison cell and to the warden's house to cure his wife. And
Yep.
there's that sequence when they arrive at the when they arrive at the warden's house and he comes out with a shotgun and Coffee walks up the stairs slowly and puts the gun like right in his face. And the warden's like, you can't help her. Nobody can. And he's like, I'm gonna try, boss. And then he like going upstairs past the grandfather clock, which then moments later cracks because what's happening upstairs is so powerful. It literally stopped time. The miracle is so
Mhm.
powerful. That sequence there is as good as any in movies I've ever seen. And how many of those do you think Netflix has?
Hmm.
I'll give you one hand because that's all you're going to need. You
Well, I
won't need
mean,
more than that.
so the real thing when it comes down to talking about Netflix as an entity is we know that Netflix can make quality stuff. Like we've seen it. They have Oscars that back that up, and
Sure.
that's the credit that they deserve. Okay. The flip side of that is for every Oscar movie or every critically acclaimed film, for every monster smash hit thing, such as like K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay. Give it some credit. They have 100 other things that are just garbage.
Well, 99, let's just say 99. So one out of every 100 is good, is
Yeah.
great.
So
So
yeah, and it's just like I mean, it's their money. I guess they can spend it however they want. That was the thing for a long time too. Is Netflix had screwed up movie budgets. They've kind of brought that back down, which I know is something that you know about. Is for whatever reason they were they were maximizing expenditure to try to get people to come do a Netflix movie because
Oh, they threw
you know
money at
yeah,
everything. They
for
just
6 or 7 years, like people were like, "Oh, I'm never going to do Netflix movie, never do Netflix movie." Now everybody's done at least one Netflix movie because you have to, because that's where that's where everybody has, everybody's done at least one at this point. But like, do you remember that awful movie with Chris Hemsworth, Spiderhead?
yes, of course I
Do
do.
you remember that, right?
Yeah.
So in a prior endeavor that we had, we reviewed Spiderhead. Okay, Spiderhead, it's not good. So if you want to see it, whatever. But that movie cost
Like
like a
200
hundred,
million.
yeah, like 150 plus
Yeah.
$1 million. I have no idea why or how it cost that much money. Like I made the joke at the time, like, did they have to buy the island that they filmed this on?
Did they have to
Because
build the Japanese bunker from World War
yes,
II?
it's just like, come on, man. Like, why does this cost so much? It doesn't make any sense. At least now that that's kind of come back to normal, but like that was a thing for a long time.
Well, I can tell you back in like 2019, 2018, 2019, 2020, they were paying like 1.5 times everything else for the rates for everything. So like people wanted to do Netflix movies because
Sure.
I mean, as a PA, as a production assistant, you're even out here in LA, it's usually like it used to, I mean, God, when I was a PA, I was my first job as a PA, I made 650 a week and I thought that was the most money I'd ever seen in my life.
Baller.
You and you Roger Super 8 because like you and the other manager at Marquee was like you guys were doing this little sleuthing because like I just knew it was a movie in West Virginia, a Paramount movie, and you guys were like I think you're working on J.J. Abrams Super
Yeah.
8. I'm like I actually have no idea, but that's pretty cool. Anyway, so that was I thought that was the most money I'd ever seen in my life, and now those PAs are making 3 or 4 times that.
Good
But
for
there was a
them.
time when Netflix was simply just saying, "All right, for all PAs, we're going to pay 2,100 a week," and it's like no PA was making it anywhere close to that, not even by half the time. And so Netflix was just for a while they just threw money. They were trying to get people to come work in because no one wanted to. That's
Yeah.
the thing is like nobody wanted to, and now it's such a mainstream thing that my worry, of course, is we're trading good things that Warner Brothers has for awful, awful retelling versions of it. And I can tell you that I know there's another script for a Troy movie, another based on the Iliad and the Odyssey, and because Nolan's doing one, there was one. There's apparently all this thing, and they want to do another one like the Brad Pitt movie from 2004, which
That's good. We need another one of those.
I'm telling you, it's going to make Troy look like a Best Picture winner, whatever Netflix makes. And it's just
I know you love Troy, but that movie's not that great.
no, I love it because it has great ideas in it,
Sure,
like the
but
the,
it's
the, the
not.
gods and Achilles, and
Yeah,
can he
no.
be killed, can he not, and Briseis, and talking about the romance between humans and gods being one sided because the gods don't answer back and no one else thinking that. Like it's got interesting ideas and it's talking about interesting things. It just Eric Bana couldn't. I just watched that again this week, and I'm like, how does that man keep getting hired for things? But it's just one of those things. King Arthur, Troy, Patriot, all those movies, not great. We used to think, they're fun, but they suck. And now it's like I watch them, like, God, this is going to be 30 times better than whatever Netflix churns out as a. It's so sad
uh,
that that's the case, but
that's not necessary. I mean, you watched the last King Arthur movie, or was the last Robin Hood movie with Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx, right?
that was a
You
weird
remember?
idea. That
You
was
remember?
never
What
good
do you remember
for me.
that though? Like, look,
I
if that was on Netflix, you wouldn't have thought twice about it. You'd be like, yeah, it's exactly how I fucking thought it would be.
it's just one of those things that I'm not sure. Again, I watch a movie that like I know Roger, you don't, and Chris don't care about, but I love that Eurovision with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams.
It's fine.
I
It's a
think there's some
fine
real
movie.
special sauce in that script. I think there's some real special stuff in there, and that's not that was made and Netflix picked it up. Like I had to, I'm like, of course it was that. Of course that's how it was. Like the one thing I was giving them credit for is not even theirs. But and I may come off like an old man screaming at clouds, but I'm telling you, after this merger goes through, you will not like it. If you love good stuff, good movies, you look forward to deep characters. Oh, and like The Last of Us, they'll have that too. What do you think's going to happen to that?
I mean, I saw what happened to the second season, so I don't.
Sure, but that was just because
Hold
of
on, can
miscasting.
it get worse?
Well, had they recast Ellie, that would have been another. We'd be talking about that still, because that
Yeah.
would have been one of those like, oh god, that was so good. But keeping Bella Ramsey, for whatever choice they made, they did it, and it didn't work out for them.
Oh, we could talk about other actual good stuff real quick from HBO. Did you? They put a date for the next Game of Thrones project.
Oh,
The
Duncan the Tall or whatever.
yeah, what is it? Night of the Seven Kingdoms
Night of the
is
Seven.
it's
Again, they're
January.
gonna have Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
and what do you think they're gonna start featuring in Game of Thrones? Netflix stuff that doesn't fucking matter
Mm,
to that story at all.
again, they kind of did that to themselves a little bit already.
Sure, but it's
So,
just,
but
I mean,
it's
what
January 17th for that. So that's MLK weekend. So hope
that
everybody gets a chance
is.
to check
That's
that out.
also, hold on, that's also another big. There's a trailer on Five Nights at Freddy's that was January. I forget what it was, but I thought it was later in the year, but it's January.
Mm,
I can't remember. It's a big movie, but it's again, it's like Game of Thrones, like one of the biggest shows ever on
yeah.
television, and you're not gonna like what Netflix does with it. You just simply won't. I promise you, you won't. But let's. Any final thoughts on it? Because we don't have any. All we have is internet speculation right now. So
No, it's the only thing that I'll say is, you know, I don't see how much good it brings, and I can really see the negative side of it. But you don't know what happens until it actually happens and how it'll shake out. But historically speaking, there's a lot of reasons why that this could be bad for a lot of things. You just hope that maybe we're being too negative and too gloom and doom for it, and I hope that's the case, because I hope if this does go through, like they announce some like big projects and things like that, and they announce that they're gonna keep their backing for theaters, like because it's Warner Brothers bread and butter, at least it was. So I hope that that's the case, but we'll never know.
not until it, I mean, they'll keep saying that stuff until they pull the plug and they made,
Yeah.
you know. I did notice, because I'm in the stocks lately, is the Netflix stock was up over $1,000, and they did a reverse 10-to-1 split, meaning for every one stock you had, you got 10, but it was the same price. It just got split 10 ways. So you had the
Hmm.
same amount of monetary invested, just you had times 10 the amount of the number. But I noticed that, and a lot of analysts have been watching videos saying that it's not going up with this announcement. It's so they split it down to like 110 now, so you can pick. It's very affordable right now, but it's continually falling, which doesn't make any sense because they just announced a $70 billion or an $80 billion merger. So you think it would skyrocket, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can roll the dice on that one. I'm not telling you to buy the stock. I'm just saying it could be lucrative. But
I already
anyway,
own a bunch of stock in a large media conglomerate, so I don't think I need more.
fair enough. Fair enough. Let's move on then. We'll have more news on that as it unfolds. I'm sure in the next 6 months to come, we'll pick like certain points and talk about it. But that's scary to me, and that's all I wanted to kind of get off my chest. But
I'm so scared.
let's do a movie recommendation, Roger. What do you got for us?
Well, hang on one second. So, you know, it's my turn to recommend a movie, and generally I stick to the theme of around the theme of what we are watching. And I'm not ever going to recommend Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a movie that I saw for the first time this week, just to see the second one, because I hadn't viewed that movie before. So that's definitely something that I'll talk about here in a minute. But then I started going on the path of trying to find some PG-13 comedy, or not comedies, goddamn, PG-13 horror movies, and there's some decent ones out there. Like Megan is one of them. Hell, Poltergeist is one of them. Where they're scary but not super duper scary and gory and things like that. But so I settled on Arachnophobia from 1990, and like if you've never seen this movie, it's classified as a horror comedy, and it's very much that, but it's about spiders. So if you're not a spider person, it's probably not great. Now I'll be honest, I haven't seen this movie in quite a while, but like it's one of the movies that I had on VHS growing up because it's from 1990. So I've probably seen Arachnophobia a couple of hundred times in my life at this point. So I mean, the basic story is there's this little quaint town up in somewhere up in New England, and they end up getting some like super rare super poisonous, venomous killer
Calif-
spider.
California town.
Is it California? I
It
thought it was.
is. Yeah,
Is it Cal? Okay,
it is.
but like they end up there. It's just like out in the middle of nowhere, and they get this spider that just kills everything, and then it just multiplies, millions and billions of spiders, and it just kind of wrecks this town. A bunch of people die, and no one knows why. And it's a good story, a good movie. It's got some fun moments, got some minor scary moments, like at the end where the big queen spider, like jumps at him and he spikes it with the nail gun, those kind of things.
Yeah,
I,
baby.
I yeah, it's a good movie, and I recommend if you've never seen it, check that out. Um, but yeah, it's one that I actually will always remember. It's got a good cast in it. It's got John Goodman, Jeff Daniels.
A very young
Um,
Jeff Daniels too. That's the
yep,
thing. Very young.
like when he was still up and coming, like those kind of things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Stuart Penkin, Brian McNamara, like Julian Sands, like people from another age. But if you told me, if someone's like Grayson, I can either bring a meteor to Earth or I
mm.
can infest several towns with spiders, I'd be like, give me the meteor, Jesus.
What towns do I get to pick? The towns?
No, but I would choose the meteor because that's how much I can't. Oh my lord, I just can't deal with spiders. I don't know why people want to keep rehashing this, but spiders are the worst thing in the world. Mm.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic though. That definitely seems like a movie that they would have tried to remake already. You
Well, they,
know,
they kind of did with like Eight-Legged Freaks back in like 2002,
that's
and
not really a remake of that.
no,
I
but
mean, like,
it's
look, it's a movie about giant creepy spiders, sure,
and a lot of them, and then people in a mall that are fighting them off with guns
with
and chainsaws.
shotguns and
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, like, look,
it's
that's
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Down for
I
that.
agree though. That's kind of on point with Five Nights at Freddy's 2 if you're looking for something similar but like better than Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are better than the Five Nights at Freddy's series at this point. Let's just lay that out there for foreshadowing when we rate things later.
I will say it's just I don't understand. I see one spider in my apartment. I'm like, I gotta burn it down. It's
Got to
gotta go.
move, and then
I
I
have
got
to
to burn
go.
the place down on
I
my
have to
out.
kill it from a satellite missile. It's got to be gotten rid of.
Yeah.
If you have the guts, you should watch Arachnophobia. It is available. It's available on Prime if you rent it, so it's not free, but
Mm.
it's $3.79 for a fun. You see a very young John Goodman, a very young Jeff Daniels. It's good. Was that pre? When was Gettysburg?
Gettysburg's in the 80s, right?
Late 80s, early 90s, I thought, but
I don't
I
know.
don't
I mean,
know.
look,
But that must have been the Jeff Daniels pairs, Gettysburg and Arachnophobia for him. But yeah, it's
yeah,
available
actually,
on
Gettysburg
Prime.
was 93.
Okay, so fair enough. Fair enough.
When's Dumb and Dumber?
94, maybe. I don't know.
94. You're right.
Yeah. So that must have been the Dumb and Dumber, and the other one must have been the pair. I
So
don't know what
imagine
the rest
working
of them
those
were.
three movies back to back to back: Arachnophobia, Gettysburg, the epic Civil War like monster movie, Gettysburg, and then Dumb and Dumber. What
Very
a
strange.
range of
No,
roles to
I
have as an
agree.
actor.
I agree. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about. All right, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. If you're listening to this episode, it's a good chance you've seen Five Nights at Freddy's 2 or you have a vested interest in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Five Nights at Freddy's. So
Yeah,
I want to ask the question,
sure.
did we need Five Nights at Freddy's 2 for any other reason except for box office? And then I want to have a little addendum to that, Roger. You said you just watched Five Nights at Freddy's.
For the first time, yes, this
What
week.
did you think of the 2023 Five Nights at Freddy's?
It's not very good.
Well, it's
Short version. It's not
well,
very
give,
good.
give me the longer 2-minute version. What you
I'm
thought about it?
okay. Okay, so let me premise this by saying yes, I did just see this for the first time. But the other thing I want to make sure that I mention is I have never played the games in any capacity. Like I know generally that they exist. I don't know how they work. I know they're about animatronic robots. That's really the extent that I have of this. Okay. When I watched this movie, one, terrible decision making across the board. Um, Josh Hutcherson is asleep for half this film, right?
Yeah.
Like almost half, like legitimately screen time. Um, but it's the robots look good, like I understand it. The idea of a haunted, possessed animatronic robot with the like souls of dead children, sure, like I get that. Like I see the appeal of something like it. It's different. The idea of it is different. It's just not very good. Like that's the movie itself is not very good. That's all. Blumhouse can do better. I've seen it,
Well, I mean,
but
that's
it's profitable, so good for them.
the first one was. It's still to be seen how much this one will be profitable. But
Second one's already cleared budget though. I checked that
well,
out already.
how much of a drop off is going to? Again, in 2 weeks, everything dies to Avatar. So we'll see
Sure.
how that goes. But I really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was. I expected nothing out of it, and I got something I thought was fairly entertaining. It was
You
kind of.
got
I don't
more
want to
than
say like.
nothing.
I don't want to say inventive because the premise is absurd. Like you just said, the souls of dead children and inhabit these animatronic robots that kill people. Like it's
Mhm.
absurd.
Yep.
But then you throw in Matthew Lillard and somehow it's like kind of okay. But and
Yeah.
I love the fact that in the second one we get Matthew
Skeet.
Lillard and Skeet
Skeet
Ulrich,
Ulrich. Yeah.
which is like one of the best horror duos
Hmm.
in the last 30 years, I will say. But God, it's almost not 30 years from Scream. You believe that?
Yeah.
That was
Hmm.
96. So
Yeah.
as of next year, it will be, and then the year after that, it's more than 30. But
That'll be more than 30. Yeah, that's how math works.
here's
And
the thing:
time
is
passes.
the characters in the first one didn't make any sense. The brother who's I get the archetype of now the brother who's because he's lost his parents and his younger brother is dealing and he has to support his sister. He's the only one left. He's got to do it. I get that, and he's struggling, and he takes this job at a Chuck E. Cheese ripoff. That's
Yeah.
what it is, right? Chuck E. Cheese is
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. The
and
pizzeria
then
with animatronic robots. Yeah, it's Chuck E. Cheese to me.
he gets in the thick of things with the ghost, and then there's a mysterious girl gets involved who's a
Mm.
cop who never once convinced me she was a cop ever. I never bought that like ever.
Besides
Um,
the fact she has a gun.
yeah, the movie's telling you, hey, she's a cop, and that matters. It's I never bought it, but again, I thought the first one was just the right amount of mixture of absurd that it was kind of fun. It was a good popcorn movie. The fact it commits the sin of if there's a horror movie with like someone like Matthew Lillard who doesn't typically get cast anymore, but he's in it, then he's involved in it in some way that's bad. That's very
Sure.
very nefarious.
He does good bad guys.
He does. I mean, look, those paychecks cash just
Hey,
like any other.
paychecks cash.
That's
Talked
right.
about that 1,000 times.
It's I
Well,
like the first one.
the one thing I want to say about the first movie, especially, is like I understand why people like it, and I'm not telling you that you can't like this movie. I just, from a movie making perspective, the story is not that strong.
It's
So,
not. It's absolutely
and
not.
but the other part of it is too. While I acknowledge that it's not very good, I don't hate it. I didn't think it was a terrible movie. It's just the idea and like I understand critically why people are like, this thing is garbage. I definitely get that
Of
because,
course.
you know, the acting is whatever. The story is pretty soft. And there really isn't that much of a resolution in that movie. So, whatever.
Well, let's go. Now that you've seen the first one and the second one, let's talk about the other question for 1 minute. Did we need a sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's?
um, for,
I would say we did not need a sequel, but that's just me.
I would say probably not as well. But from a Blumhouse perspective and a movie perspective, I see why we got one.
Well, from a box office perspective, I
Yeah.
certainly see why we got one. Yeah, absolutely. It did gangbusters. The first one did very well for itself on a smaller budget, and that's what Blumhouse is known for doing, of course. And I understand, but there is, what's the? I always talk about this one question when making a sequel: is there story left to tell? I simply just didn't think there's any more story left to tell, even though the first one may have left cliffhangers and threads open. I just don't think there was any story left to tell. As a matter of fact, I was halfway through this movie and I was wondering, where are we going with this? What are we doing with Five Nights at Freddy's 2? Like this, and the one thing, talk about bad decision making.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of
If you
that.
fall in water, just
Mm.
get out of the water.
Get out. Yep.
So I can't stress that, and don't stay in the water, people. I don't. Oh, if you watch the movie, you'll understand what that means. But it's infuriating, and the decision making is bad, and the script, even in the first Five Nights at Freddy's, the script is what allowed these demonically possessed animatronic things to kill people, which they're slow, they're
Mhm.
cumbersome, they're
They're loud,
loud,
loud.
they're not
Hold on.
stealthy
Well,
until they need to
hold
be.
on. They're not. Well, yeah. That's okay. It's exactly what I was gonna say. Like they're super loud until they're not.
Yeah.
They're super huge, and you see them, and you can see them from 100 feet away until you can't.
Yeah.
Um,
Until they're
the
right
one thing
around
I
the corner.
the one
Yeah.
thing I will tell you about the first movie is that little cupcake thing. I'd have beat the shit out of that thing. Like I'd have hit that thing with a ball bat till it was paste.
All you
Because
gotta do is pick up a broom, a ball bat, anything, and you could
yeah,
defend
just
yourself.
buddy, I could throw that cupcake 60 yards. Let's get away from me.
You could bounce it off the walls. It just
That's it. Just, yeah.
I mean, that's what I don't understand. It's like they don't they ne- but the one thing they didn't seem to me was imposing or threatening in the first film, and that's one thing that I needed to feel and didn't. So
Okay.
that was a big thing for me is I just didn't feel the immediate threat of these things only because the script was allowing them. It's like the thing when it's like one of the, it's like the Friday the 13th trope or Michael Myers trope is the characters can run super fast, but then so they're like they've run for 10 seconds at a speed that's 100 times what Freddy's moving or Michael, yet they trip over a branch and then he's right behind them.
Ah!
Yeah, and then it's one of the I mean, it's horror tropey. I understand why it's almost a
Oh,
tradition to put those in, but
that makes me think of, and you remember this. Remember that old Geico commercial that they had where that's always they still play it around Halloween.
the chainsaws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, what do we do? We out of the under. She's like, why don't we get? She's like, how about we hide behind the chainsaws? And the one girl's like, why don't we get in the running car? You know what I mean? Like, it's so stupid of a commercial that it's clever and funny. Like, it's one of those things, and it's something that happens in movies all the time. Like, especially in the first Five Nights at Freddy's, just go outside of the goddamn building.
Exactly. Yes.
Just fucking leave.
Exactly. And it's, since we're talking about Skeet Ulrich today and Matthew Lillard, it's
Hmm.
like something they never do in the Scream franchise is if you take and there's several moments in that franchise that Nev, for instance, could have taken the mat, then it becomes a lot less scary.
Yep.
But they don't because we don't. The audience, the movie makers can't afford that for us. So like that's one thing in the first Five Nights at Freddy's until the end, the filmmakers couldn't afford for us to know and for Hutcherson to know and the girl to know that the person in the suit was a real human being.
Yep.
Because then they can be stopped. And like she was a cop with a gun. And you know what guns do to people? Well, they stop them in their tracks.
Generally, they can stop them
Yeah.
or at least slow them down.
So, but it's again, if Five Nights at Freddy's, you're buying into the mythos of the universe you're entering. And as
Mhm.
far as the game is concerned, which I also have zero experience. I mean, I
No.
know what the game is. I've watched videos, but as far as playing it, I have zero experience.
Yeah, nothing I'm familiar with.
I get the concept of the game, and I could have bought it for one movie, but when I saw the trailer for the second movie, I was like, why in the world are we getting a second movie? And then Chris is like, well, I'll give you 200 million reasons why we're
Yep.
getting a second
That's an
movie. And
easy answer, honestly. It
of
just
course,
is. Where the thing is, clearly the story doesn't have to be super strong, or people are going to come out and see it.
and they did in droves.
Hmm.
The theater I was in was packed and it was sold out, and I couldn't
There was
believe
a
it.
decent amount of folks in my theater as well. Chris, I'm sorry that Chris isn't here. Chris actually sent us a message. He must. What was that Friday morning? He sent that to us.
Oh
He must
right,
have been
yeah,
at
yeah,
the early show on Friday, and he's watching the movie, and it's just static up on the screen, like the old school black and white static. He's like,
yeah.
yeah. He's like, well, this is going well.
Well, it's at a new theater. They're figuring out the
Yeah, I mean,
kinks, and
stuff happens,
yeah,
but I
I
guess it
get
took
that.
like
But
25 minutes to fix that. So,
I say that like I wouldn't be fucking furious if that was me. I'd have been furious. I'd have been like spitting fire, man. But
I mean, in the world that I've lived before, like I laugh at that because I know like how easy that stuff is to happen, but it's like so fucking annoying when it does.
I mean, also it's when you're on a schedule. Like I mean, you and
Yep,
Chris often are because you guys have a family and very limited windows.
tight
If
windows sometimes.
if the show that you pick out to watch doesn't work, you guys often don't have time to watch it again before
Nope.
we record.
I've definitely
So
had that in this world where like, hey, I have one opportunity to watch this movie at like a 7 o'clock showing on a Saturday night. And well, that movie got canceled for whatever reason, like the fire alarm kept going off, which is something that
it
has
does
happened
happen.
to me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can talk about this film that I didn't watch as a member from the sidelines. The show, so it does happen.
I agree. It's one of those things that does happen. But let's just jump into the second Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and just give
Okay.
I have a lot of points I want to make about this movie.
Okay.
And one of the first points I want to
Well,
start.
hold
I wanna,
on. We got some stuff. Do the
oh, right,
particulars, and
all
then
right.
we need to count in.
Well, I wanted to do the thing where why did we get this movie? We're going to answer
Uh,
that question.
well, yeah, we'll do that too.
All right. So some particulars. Do you know what the numbers are for this?
No, for two. No, I know that. I know critically, it's getting annihilated.
So the first, just for context, Five Nights at Freddy's from 2023, the numbers are 33 and 86. So 33
Okay.
tomato meter,
Okay.
86 popcorn meter, and the Metacritic for the first one is 33, which is probably, I think, might be a tad low. But I
Sure.
mean, if it's below 50, who really cares?
Yeah. It means,
Um,
well, shit. When you're below 40,
yeah, who cares?
it's yeah.
So, do you know the numbers for the second one? If I told you
Mm.
that the popcorn meter was 12, would you dispute me?
Wait, the popcorn meter or the tomato?
Sorry, the tomato meter is 12.
Oh my god.
The popcorn meter is
Fucking 12.
the popcorn meter is 2 points higher at 88. I
What
know.
a large disparity.
Well,
And
and the Metacritic went from a 33 to a 26.
oh my goodness.
That's gotta be one of the lowest of the
Whoa.
year, yeah.
This for what we've seen, this has to be. Is it the lowest?
It's gotta be one of them.
Man, I'm trying to think of the movies that we've seen that were not great that still were better critically than that.
Well, I can't, I'd have to go back over the list of what we talked about, but
Yeah, maybe we'll do that for next week. We'll do a
yeah.
quick rehab because I'm sure Chris will have some things to say about this film. So
All right,
like
so Josh
5 minutes next
Hutcherson
week.
reprises his role, Elizabeth Lyle, Piper Rubio, Matthew Lillard, Theodis Crane, Freddie Carter, and what's her name? I
McKenna Grace
McKenna Grace is in it for a little bit, and then she gets
for
transformed. But
6 minutes or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, getting McKenna Grace, I'm sure, is not an easy thing to do for movies. So I imagine she
Yeah, I don't know
wanted
what
to do
that's about.
this.
Yeah, maybe.
I imagine she vied for this. She leveraged to get this role. So at least that would be my initial thing. So let's talk about the question to
Well,
bridge
hang
the
on.
gap between. So go
Before we
ahead.
do that, on a count of three, we'll do
All right.
thumbs up or thumbs down. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I don't. I tried my hardest in my head to argue for thumbs up, just because I like to do the devil's advocate thing.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
gonna be
just
tough for
couldn't,
this.
because here's what doesn't make any sense. Are you ready for this, Roger?
Mm-hmm.
The characters, the plot, the villain, everything. Nothing
Oh,
makes sense in this movie. Nothing
oh.
makes any.
Can I
Oh,
add something else into it that
yeah,
doesn't make
please.
sense? The passage of time
Oh, of
in this
course.
film.
Wild all over the place. Sometimes it's dark and it goes to day, and then it's right back to night, and it's like, what just
So
happened? Did we?
before we dig into it, there's one egregious thing I want to point out, right?
Mhm.
So when Josh Hutcher's character Mike
Mike.
is meeting with Skeet Ulrich's character, what was his name?
I don't know. I just call him the dad of the
Yeah, the
girl.
dad of Charlotte, the
Yeah.
deceased girl. Um, he finds out that his sister, or he finds out that there is a second location or an original location. I don't remember which. I think that's the original one that they're at, right? In
Mhm.
this one. He finds out that this exists, which clearly isn't that far away from where he lives because his sister rides her fucking bicycle to it. Okay.
Yeah.
He gets up immediately and leaves. Okay. And through no passage of time that we can tell, it goes from bright sunny afternoon to pitch black fucking dark. Like, this man had to drive hundreds of miles to get to this other Freddy's location. I'm not saying that, after your daughter may have mysteriously died at the animatronic evil Chuck E. Cheese, that you wouldn't have left town. Because I understand that. Maybe you don't live there anymore. But I don't get the vibe that that's really happening. It's just, it must have taken him several hours to get to this other Freddy's location. And that just sticks out to me as something that was like so poorly done. Because like it wasn't even dusk when he was there. It wasn't like late in the afternoon or anything. It seemed like That's the middle of the day because like she left school in the morning
She
to
did.
go to that. So
Yeah,
I don't
or yeah.
I don't know.
So a couple
Fucking
people I
movie.
left out, which I wanted to get into discussion, but I'll just say them now. Wayne Knight,
Wayne
which
Knight,
I always like seeing Wayne Knight, of course. Matthew
Dennis
Lillard,
Nedry himself.
yeah.
Ah, ah, ah.
Yep. Um, Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich, which, if you ask me, seeing those two in this movie, never together though,
Nope.
is cooler than this whole movie at all.
It is
You know,
nice.
like, of course, because like that's the dynamic of Stu and Billy, and like you just from Scream, which is arguably one of the best horror movies in the last 30 years.
Give it up for Skeet Ulrich for still looking basically the same after after 30 years. By the way,
Yeah,
like
he.
props
Well,
to him.
Matthew Lillard doesn't look too different, but
No,
yeah, just older version of
I
him.
mean,
But
yeah, that's
so here's the problem with Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is
it's bad. That's the problem.
it doesn't. I'm not, again, I'm not a fan of the. I don't have any experience with the game, so I don't even know if this is working off any kind of lore outside of what have already gotten. But this is kind of, to me, it's where the Game of Thrones started to go awry, is when the filmmakers started to go off book,
Off script.
off script. It's kind of where that show really tanks itself, is when they go
Yeah.
off of. And this is kind of that example of, it doesn't. My problem, and just for reference, I would have given Five Nights at Freddy's a thumbs up. I thought it was worthy of a thumbs up. It depends on how
Maybe.
you define that, of 0 to 50 and 51 to 100. I thought it was at least 51 to 100. So I thought it was fun enough. I thought
Okay,
Matthew Lillard's
I
character
could
made sense.
if 51 was a number for a thumbs up, I probably could have done that. Sure.
Sure, but isn't that what it is on Rotten Tomatoes? Like, it's either
Yeah.
a, yeah. But it's the thing, those the characters in the first one, they made sense to me. The brother who's struggling, he's lost his family. The daughter of the monster, who doesn't really want to reveal everything yet because she doesn't want to be perceived a certain way. And then we have the Matthew Lillard character, who's still around and doing awful
Evil
heinous shit.
Dead. Yep.
And so those characters, and of course the little sister, who is susceptible in this
It's just
world. If
weird.
we're
She's just
Well, I
weird.
mean, I don't think it's weird because of what happened to these kids. And if you're buying into the fact of Five Nights at Freddy's, of the souls of the kids that were killed, you know, making these things do things, making these animatronics go, then
Hey,
okay. If
hang on.
you go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to do before you get too deep in. I want to. I want to go sideways for 1 second.
Sure.
In the first movie, did they say approximately what year it is?
I don't think so. I don't remember, to be honest.
Okay, because in this movie, I know for sure because like it starts in 1982. Okay, with the marionette for the first time, and then they say 20 years later. So obviously, it is now 2002.
So the first one had to be
So
before that. So about 2000, maybe. Let's
so
say.
it's not.
I don't know.
Let's say 2000. So at some point in between this, these folks got to experience 9/11.
That's true.
So
Oh, sure, but I mean, they're nowhere around that, so it doesn't matter.
no,
But
well, just I don't know. I thought that was funny to me.
I was wondering because the cars they looked
Yeah,
quite a bit older. So,
yeah. It's
um,
supposed to be early 2000s time frame. So
so it
it's
just,
also why not nobody has cell phones and things like that.
well,
Not
of course,
really.
I mean, but to me, that's, one cell phone undoes all of this, so it just doesn't
But a
matter
lot of
anyway.
stuff, sure. Yeah.
It's the characters, I was saying, they made sense in the first film. In this film, they don't make any sense, and I can't imagine the producers calling Josh Hutcherson's agent and being like, "Look, we want to make a Five Nights at Freddy's 2," and then on the other side of the phone, his agent just like, how do I pitch this to Josh? How do I get him to do this?
Well,
Because come on, man.
I assume originally that this because let me spoil one thing real quick and like we don't have to spoil much about this movie, but we don't really care about spoilers in this show too much. Is the way this movie ends, there will definitely be a Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
They've already baked
Like
it in. Like,
yeah,
it's not a maybe, it's a
yeah,
yes.
it's coming. So I assume that they pitched this, a couple years back when they're like, "Hey, we got a trilogy that we want you to be the lead in," and I don't know. That's all because he's the only one that has real name stay at this point, I guess. But then you
Well,
brought
I
in
don't. I
somebody
mean,
like
the girl really doesn't. Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich, their names
I
were
mean,
really high on the billing.
Yeah, but
So
those aren't things you're building a franchise around
no,
as the
of
lead.
course not.
Like,
But
look, if you want to keep Matt Lillard as like the omnipresent villain, like I understand that, and that's a good idea. But like adding somebody with some semi-star power, this would be like McKenna Grace, who's literally on screen for less than 10 minutes. It's like I don't.
and she is. I mean, she is the reason that like she is the heavy hitter of that cast by far.
And
Let's look it out
this
of the
movie
way here.
does her no good in that
No.
aspect
Well,
either.
again, she's of the generation where she may have wanted to be part of this
Maybe,
because, like, that's the generation that Five Nights at Freddy's targets is kind of the younger her generation. So I can
yeah,
understand her wanting to be part of it. And like we see a lot of these video game movies of people wanting to be part of it, and I kind of get that too in a way that like because Henry Cavill, for example, you know, he wanted to be part of Warhammer, and so he's trying to make that a
yep,
thing. He's a gamer, and we talked about previous episodes stars that are gamers that want to
yeah,
be part of that, like Jason Momoa, Jack Black for Minecraft. Like we assume there's got to be some kind of connection there.
hmm.
It's I can understand that, but I can also understand, you know, I can also understand they're like McKenna. Look, we'll give you 2 movies out of this. We'll you 5 million, 2 movies, less than 3 weeks combined for both.
Well,
Fine.
she ain't coming back, dude. She's dead.
No, she's not. I mean, if she's doing the if she's gonna reprise one character, then she's. Do we know she's dead?
I think she's dead.
Well, I
I'd
mean,
bank on
again, do
she's
we
dead.
know she's dead?
Well, no, but I guess, and you know what? In this world, that's one thing I will tell you. I don't understand any of the rules. I don't know what it means to be possessed by a ghost
Well, no,
or
because
shit like
they don't
that.
explain anything, and that
No, they sure
and
don't.
so let me ask you, your first your first when the credits started to roll, what was your first thought about the movie you just watched?
I legitimately looked at my wife and like, this movie's terrible. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. I was like, this is pretty bad. And I was kind of annoyed because now I know that at some point in my life I'll probably have to watch a third version of this movie.
Well,
And
I hope they learn from it because it's important that they learn from it because they could make a really cool third film. Excuse me, where we're going with it, how this movie ends, there could be some really cool story threads that pop out because of this. But I doubt it.
maybe,
Only because of the clumsiness of the script in the second one, I doubt it.
yeah.
It's one of those things of it doesn't. So my first reaction was this was pretty awful,
Hmm.
and I don't mean to deter anyone. If you want to watch it, you should watch it.
Well,
It's got good visual effects. It's very much in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's.
yeah, the one thing I would say, like, if you like the first Five Nights at Freddy's, there is no reason that you shouldn't enjoy the second one.
I would agree with that. That's
It's not that different. I
except
just
I
it
didn't. I liked the first Five Nights. I hated this one. I thought this one was a waste of my time. I thought it was, but then again,
I
I'm not the audience for this,
yeah,
so
I don't know. Because again, though, I have a different perspective because I saw it for the first time like this week. So I wasn't a big fan of the first one anyway. But I mean, the short version of it is the first one is a better movie, and which is weird because like when your lead is asleep for half the film, you would think that that would be a bad thing. Which is something though that I do want to point out that they actually allude to in this movie that he slept a lot in the last time they went through this. Did you catch that line?
yes, of course, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like because like I laughed and a bunch of people in my theater laughed about that. So I was like, well, yeah, no, that's something that happened for real.
There was a really inappropriate joke I laughed at that no one else did that I thought I was okay. Maybe I shouldn't have laughed at that, but
I
I
don't know.
can't
I
remember what it
laughed
was.
when somebody randomly out at the science fair was like, "You're such a dick, Mister Berg."
Well, I
I
mean that
laughed
was
at
to be
that.
expected, but
Yeah,
like that guy was
he's a
let's
dickhead.
well like
What's his
he's
deal?
but he's like he's not real. No
No.
science teacher's that mean to his students. Come on, man. That's just That's bonkers. And I actually last year I actually worked 2023 I think. I actually worked a robotics competition for my friend who teaches it and coaches it. I had
Hmm.
to walk around like interview the kids and like talk about the robots and like take that into account when judging and I was a judge. That's what those kids are doing is really cool, man. I'm
Well,
really
what they're
jealous
doing
to
in
even have that.
2025
Yeah.
is a lot different than what they're doing in 2002 as well.
Sure, sure, but like I'm very jealous that we didn't have that kind of stuff when I was in middle school, high school because I would have loved to get involved with
Yeah,
that.
we
But
didn't have anything like that. No.
it's so the thing is, it's when looking at this movie from a story point of view, it is rather weak. And I wonder one thing that came to mind is I remember watching. I was so excited to watch Troy with my brother. We were both huge Achilles
Huge
fans.
fans of shirtless Brad Pitt.
There's that. I mean, he is a he's a
Yes.
handsome son of a bitch. But like
Yes.
we were so because like we grew up, our mom was all when we were super young reading us ancient poems of Beowulf and Achilles and the Iliad and the Odyssey, and we were talking about them before we even like were in school talking about most things. Mom was talking to us about Greek
Wow,
tragedies
man, I
and
read like Dick and Jane novels when I was growing up.
not
Remember
us,
those
man. It
things?
was yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. It's but it's the thing is it's and I remember like 45 minutes in looking at him, be like, this is fucking bad, isn't he?" He's like, "Yeah, this is terrible." But like, and like, I was
All
watching
you needed
this,
was Kevin Sorbo's fucking Hercules to slide in there and
and I remember, I had the same kind of moment when I was watching this. If my brother had been with me, I'd have been like, "This is awful. Like, what is with this? Like, no one's making decisions that I would make. No, and I mean me as in like someone who makes decisions. Like, if you fall in water, get out of the water.
Yep.
Why would you stay in the water and walk around in it?
Nope.
What kind of sense does that make?"
Also, that water's fucking gross, by the way.
Yeah, it's been there for like 20 years. Why would you ever
Yes,
just get out of the
stagnant
water?
ass. Well, it probably stinks like a butthole.
Why would you? It just, I'm not. It just, there's a lot of questionable things
Well,
here that
can
probably
can I
fall into the
ask
horror trope. But
can I ask a question that maybe I should have been paying more attention to when I watched the first one? Is
yeah,
there a reason the fucking power is still on
is there a reason
everywhere?
that that thing hasn't been bulldozed? That like,
Yeah.
is there
Like,
a reason that they're still opening Five Nights at Freddy Fazbear uh, restaurants in this world? Like, why are they still
mm,
doing that?
how many are
What?
there?
Well, they talked about one opening just down the street from them in this one, didn't they? Didn't they have a cue card that was like, "Oh, there's one opening down in Illinois somewhere," and
Oh
that's
yeah, they did.
yeah, they did. So obviously, they're still. You're telling me that that company somehow survived the kidnapping and enslaving of dead children, in
The
order to
not just having that happen at their location, that their fucking owner was who did it.
it was killing kids, and for all they
I mean,
know,
like,
doing
look,
worse
the
things
one
to
thing he
kids.
was really good at was business. I want you to understand.
Well, he must have
Those
been because
those leases were fucking ironclad.
they were. I mean, and it's important enough that they, for some reason, have. I mean, I understand why in the first one that Matthew Lillard was the one looking for a security guard. He thought for a temp agency, but it was really him just looking for no more souls to take.
Yeah.
But like, why would you again? Like, why does it say like? Why are any of at night when we get the shots of the restaurant? Why is any of it lit up with neon lights? Why is there
Mhm.
electricity still going to that restaurant? Like, why?
Yep.
Who's paying for that?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, not only who's paying for it, but why has the power company not been like, um, there's not been any breakers flipped for 20 years. Why are we
Yeah.
still putting? You know, it's just
Yeah.
there's a million questions I had during watching this movie, and I didn't write them down like I usually do, so I don't.
Nah,
But who like
but I
it just
mean,
doesn't.
the short version of it is for Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is they take a story that wasn't very cohesive in the first one. They add a couple of more elements, a group of other people, and introduce another character, another familial character who also is named Michael. Why? What the fuck is that about? We couldn't have named this motherfucker anything else.
Because there's already a Mike in the story,
Yeah.
the main character. Yeah.
Like, I audibly laughed when he said, because like they imply that they talked to a security guard named Mike. They imply that that's Josh Hutcherson's character, right? They
Of course.
purposely make you think that. Then when you get there, it's the brother, okay, that we have never, I don't think we'd ever mentioned before at all,
No, no.
who prefers to go by Michael, which is such a douchey thing to do, which is actually funny. But like, why? Why couldn't his name be fucking John?
Or
You
anything,
know?
literally anything else. Unless they're trying to
God,
draw that parallel, in which,
I don't
you
know.
know, I think it's a
It's
weird
just,
parallel to draw, but
but then it comes back here at the end of the movie, right? Where the very very end, where they end up at they end up at the house, and he was just like, "I'm leaving. You can't come with us because I don't trust you," which is a very fair thing to say, right? Because they're trying to like the one of the big sidebars of this movie is them trying to start a relationship officially and like get through all the shit that happened to them, and that's probably really hard to do. Okay, you know, her father tried to kill your little sister, stabbed you. I see where like that's hard to blossom a relationship out of that. I understand that's probably tough, but like at the end of this movie, just assume that you guys are going to run off together, and he's like, no. because now your fucking crazy brother exists that I didn't know was a thing. And there's a whole nother Five Nights. There's a whole nother fucking Fozbear's place. Like, why are we doing this? Your family's fucking crazy. No.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is,
Also, shouldn't she be fucking rich?
you'd think, or I mean, it just doesn't. There's a lot of questions here. Like
She
when
pulls a
she
gun on
points,
somebody at spin class too, by the way.
yeah, when she points her gun at another officer and then
Right
just
in his
leaves the building.
face.
Yeah, come on. I
Right in
mean,
his fucking
come on.
face.
Like I don't believe for 1 second this woman's a cop. Not for any other reason than like the movie does a very piss poor job of showing me that she's a cop. Except for
Well,
like,
they don't really reference it at all in the second movie.
well, I mean, they put her in the uniform for like 15 seconds when she's having one of her
The
hallucinations
flashback thing or
to
whatever, yeah.
to
Yeah,
her dad.
hallucinations are better, yeah.
And I guess she does like do the thing where like she points and like steps forward to shoot. So which I can only imagine is a military thing.
Mm.
So it's I can imagine that's what they tried to do with it, but it's just I don't understand. Maybe that's a character is in the lore. She's a cop, but it just doesn't. It didn't translate to either film. It just kind of made it worse. I think it kind of
Oh,
made it
well.
more unbelievable than believable. So I mean, I don't the when in the end when he was like whenever it was revealed that he was the brother of her, I'm like, oh, what else aren't we gonna
Of
know until the third
course.
movie? Yeah, of course. There's and I don't
Well,
think I understand. I don't think I understand Hutcherson's like just stay away from us. You're bad news. Like I'm not sure I get
things
that either.
things we learn in this movie that we had no idea of from the beginning. One, that there's a second Freddy's location. Okay. That you have a brother who's also a crazy asshole. Okay, fair. Didn't know that. We also find out that she also knows about the creepy marionette thing that lives in the basement of the other location. That she is throughout the years befriended the ghost of the marionette. You know, like those are things maybe you should have brought up, like in between movies. Be like, hey, there is some other shit you need to know.
Well, of course, it doesn't. It just it's doing that thing where they reveal things slowly, so they still have
Well,
plot points to
it's
talk about.
2002, so they're probably communicating during like AIM, like AIM. He's
Bloop,
like,
bloop,
hey,
bloop.
bloop, bloop.
Yep.
So hey, you still want to go out on Tuesday? Bloop. Yes, bloop. Do you have any other crazy family members who are going to try to dress as an animatronic robot and kill my family?
So
What you mean?
you see typing you see typing dots and then they stop.
Just yeah,
No,
exactly.
no message at all. Yeah, of course.
I
Um,
don't know. Dot
yeah,
dot dot. It's
maybe
just like
winky
what the
face.
fuck.
It's I get where you're
Oh
going.
my
It's just
god.
so let's talk about the target. Who's the target demographic for Five Nights at Freddy's or Five Nights at Freddy's 2? Either one of these. Who's the
I have
target
no
demo?
idea. No idea.
I can't age wise has to be younger, right? There's no
I
way this is like aimed at 30
I
or
don't
40 year
know.
olds.
Because like looking at the audience from the show that I saw, like generally slightly younger than me, but not much. I mean, I'm in my early 40s, so like that's not hard to do anymore. But like there was some young people, but there's plenty of people my age there. So like I don't know, but it's a PG-13 horror movie that kids can go to. Like I'll tell you one thing. So this movie coming out in December was something that we had talked about on the show. Like, why is it coming out in December instead of during the Halloween time? Okay, and Grayson brought up a good point pre-show, saying maybe it just wasn't ready, which I guess is definitely a possibility. Right? I can tell you one thing though: if I would have had to have seen this movie around Halloween for one of the later in the evening shows, it would have been full of like teenagers, and I would have wanted to kill them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I could just see that being a problem. So being able to see it at like 10 in the morning on on a Sunday, that's fine, fine for
Well,
me.
I'll be like the last time I remember watching a movie and people actually ruining my experience was Minecraft. That was bad.
Well, yeah, well, because Minecraft was a problem,
Yeah.
you know, but that's also part of their thing.
But like I don't mind when there's like for instance a lot of teenagers in the showing for something like this unless they're a nuisance and
Well,
you know.
one thing, a couple weeks ago, like I was a sold out theater for Wicked. You know what I mean? And like there was a bunch of young kids there and things like that. And same for Zootopia. I'm totally fine with the kids being there making noise, things like that. Like it's what I expect. You know, it just I just know how things can be ruined for the PG-13 horror movies.
Horror.
So,
Yeah,
horror.
but that's what you get with, I mean, kids want to see things that they should think they shouldn't be allowed to see, or like is edgy. They want to see that stuff. So I get that.
Yep.
And in my day, it was The Ring, and stuff like that was like the cool thing to watch because it was like rated R without being rated R. So
Well, it's also the
it's,
scariest movie imaginable.
I mean,
So,
it's what's that twist in the end was
dude, when that bitch stepped out of the TV, like I fucking was like, "Oh my god,
that was.
no!"
You know what's funny about that is like we were started to like move in our seat and get super uncomfortable, and kids they are like whatever, like they don't even care. They don't even care. It's I don't know. It's I guess for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the selling point would be it is more of Five Nights at Freddy's, more
True,
animatronics. It looks good. They
it
look
does look good.
great. I mean, they
Hmm.
look fantastic. And
Well, there are two
maybe,
different versions of them this time too, with the more robotic type and then like the more animatronic type.
well,
So yeah.
I noticed that like some of them had red eyes, some of them had blue eyes. And I think
Mhm.
the red eyes were some controlled by the more demonic spirit, and the blue eyes were like the good ones
That's the
almost.
spirit of the Terminator. Yes.
Fair enough. It's one of those things, but like I guess the selling point for this would be it's more Five Nights at Freddy's, more of the stuff that you like in the first film, because there's not a lot of substance to either one of these movies. It's just the
No.
setting and the characters that make it what it
Mhm.
is, and even like those are in the second film are very lacking in descriptiveness, which is a problem. Uh, so I don't want to just again I don't want to discourage anyone from watching this because I think it is fun if you're that fan, but I can't see a normal person wandering into this out of curiosity from the trailer or the poster and be like, this looks fun. I just that's something I can't understand because not only is the movie awful, it also isn't fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's
Um,
that too.
I think the big thing for me is if you hadn't seen the first movie, I don't see what would appeal you to go see the first one without seeing or see the second one without seeing the first one. Does that make sense?
Of course it does, yeah.
Like this is not one of the ones where you'd be like, "Oh, I heard of that. Let's go see the second one without ever watching the first one." It's
Well, I mean
I,
that does happen though. I mean,
well, but it's a lot easier to get people to go see the first version of a movie that they don't know anything about than it is the second.
oh,
So 2
100%.
years ago when Five Nights at Freddy's, the first one came out, like people were like, "Oh, what's that about?" And they could go check it out for the first time, and which also why the box office is a little bit lower. I mean, still open at 60 is a good number, so give
That's
it
an
credit
excellent
for
number
that.
for this country. Jesus, that's
Yeah,
more than almost
109
anything
total
else. Yeah.
worldwide. Like it cleared its full budget back already, so that's all gravy from here on out for them. But I mean, and it definitely ends on like one. It just sort of ends, but it definitely ends with them
A cliffhanger.
like yeah, like kicking the door wide open for like you have to watch the third one to get resolution to this.
Well,
So
I imagine the third one starts right where this leaves off. I
yeah,
imagine
like minutes later,
or
yeah,
like seconds later. Yeah, I imagine it's right after. I imagine they'll be walking to the car, turn around, and
or
she's
driving away, yeah, and they're like, why did we leave her? Blah blah blah.
well, I mean, also the thing that kills me in this one is like the little sister hadn't after going through the ordeal in the first one and realizing that those things were using you,
Mhm.
she still is none the wiser in this movie, which is kind of a red flag to me because like then what did that character learn in the first film?
Nothing.
Also in the first film, at least we had the somewhat of a depth of the kids appearing to Hutcherson's character and like there's like a detective element of he's trying to
Mhm.
figure this shit out. He needs to
Yeah.
figure it out. These kids are appearing to him. He doesn't know why. He's lost a little brother. Other people have lost kids to this. Like there's a puzzle here that he's trying to figure out while on guard duty and these things keep happening. But it's one of those things that's there's no complexity in this one in the second movie and it's all just a bunch of plot conveniences. It's like, okay, you you leave the building, which we still don't know. I mean, they had a hard time getting from outside the building to the control room, and
Mhm.
then he's like, "Oh, just go ahead and walk out of the building and go chase what I tell you to chase
Yeah.
with these
Well,
walkie talkies, which wouldn't reach more than a mile."
well,
But
how about the thing? He's like, "How do we close the door?" And she's like, "There are no doors." And he's like, What do you mean? There's no doors? Like, what? Who designed this shithole building?
mm,
Because
good question.
imagine being there like at full speed. Like it's like like it's like Memorial Day weekend. Freddy's is packed before the murders take place. And you're sitting there in your office trying to do work, and it just opens into this fucking ballroom. Like no one's doing that. Get out of here.
Well, no, of
It's
course no one's doing it,
terrible.
but it's also part of the weird. charm, but it means he has to deal with things,
Yeah,
but
it's
which is
just
weird because
stupid.
I mean, the whole flashlight thing in like in the beginning when the kids that break into Freddy's, like he falls in the water and then he hears this noise, turns around. Of course, the flashlight starts flickering and he's like
Mhm.
hitting like horror trope of all
Yeah,
horror tropes is the flashlight flickering. And then of course when he's at the computer, Hutcherson's character, he's trying to shut these things down, which he's not. My first goal would be okay, locate settings, shut down everything. Like
yeah.
what? How hard is it? And and he hears a sound. He shines a flashlight. Then he turns it off and goes back to what he was doing. Just leave it
Hmm.
on, shining to where you want to see. How hard is this?
I mean, there's 100 lights on in this building. Just direct one down the hallway.
Or go to the breaker because everything is still electrified. Like
Yeah,
juice is still running to the building. How are these buildings still standing? I don't know.
I don't know.
It just doesn't make any like none of this makes any sense. Is even in a weird Five Nights at Freddy's world, which is our world, just kind of a little
Stupider.
sidestep. It's just it doesn't. The characters in this one they just don't make any sense, and that is very often I mean, that was a problem with Gladiator 2. Something that we
Yeah,
talked about a year ago now, just over a year was that was a massive problem. And in a movie like Gladiator 2, that's a huge, huge glaring error. But a movie like this, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter?
don't think so.
I
Honestly, I don't think it matters.
I mean, there's 63 million reasons opening weekend why
Yep,
I don't think it matters a whole lot.
it should matter, but it doesn't.
Well, that's
And
my
I
whole
guess
argument
good
with
for them.
Netflix. Is like it should matter that everything Netflix puts out is trash, but it doesn't because they're finding traction in Steam.
Yep.
So it just doesn't make any sense. So, what are your final thoughts about Five Nights at Fred? I'm trying not to be spoilery in this one because there are
Well,
some mysteries that I don't want to spoil for
I
people.
mean,
But
the one thing I would say deep down, and this will be my final thought, is if you like the first Five Nights at Freddy's, you're probably gonna like the second one. For somebody like me who thought the movie was okay the first time and the story was the weakest part of it, this just doubles down on the fact that the story, the plot, and the characters aren't very good. Um, but I won't tell anybody that you shouldn't see it. If you like the first one, especially, go see it. It's just more of the same. So have at it. We'll see again. We'll see in it 2 years from now when the third one comes out.
I agree. I mean, I'm sure they shot them together too, just because it's if this one doesn't pick up seconds after, if three doesn't pick up seconds after two, I'd be very surprised in how they left it. But my final thoughts are if you like the first one, you like this one. There's no reason why you wouldn't, except just know that it's there. The cracks are not only showing, but they are massive and they are
Hmm.
huge. And if you want to go kind of immerse yourself in this, get a soda, get a popcorn. I can see it being enjoyable. When my theater had kids and the kids were enjoying it. They were talking to each other and pointing at things at the screen, and that's a cool thing that's kind of a collective kid thing, and that's a cool thing. But I was wholly uninterested in what was going on the screen. I got to be honest. I was just
No, that's fair. Yeah, I
because
get
the
it.
movie's got to be compelling. That's like movie 101 is you got to suck me in and then not let me go until the end of the movie, and that's like movie 101, man. That's like
The story can't be the worst part of your film
which it
ever.
often is, and that's a
Yeah.
problem. I guess in this is not as big a problem because you're not going for the story. You're going for the lore and for the characters and for animatronics, I
We'll
guess. But
find that out in full force in a couple of weeks for Avatar.
boy, I'm really worried for that. James Cameron is saying more about that third Avatar movie, and it's really got me worried. Really got me
Perfect.
worried. But yeah.
Perfection.
So thank you for joining me, Roger, for a very
Sure, buddy.
disappointing movie. And again, I was thinking of ways like, can I possibly give this a thumbs up for any
Nope.
reason? And I just
Negative.
negativo, Ghost Rider negativo. But that does it for us in episode 59 on Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. If you listen to this episode on an audio only service such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Podbean, feel free to head over to YouTube. Check us out there also. Turn us on when you're doing work, making dinner, whatever you're doing. Turn us on, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for that. And we look forward to seeing you next week for another theatrically released film where we get to talk about it.
We'll talk about something. I don't know what yet, but something. See y'all.
Peace.